Hey there, if you've ever felt that mix of excitement but also, a little bit of frustration with AI, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down the essential skills that will take you from just being curious about AI to feeling totally confident using it. Let's dive in. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? There's this massive gap opening up, and let's be honest, most of us feel like we're on the beginner side of it. You get results that are okay, but not amazing. Well, the whole point of this is to give you the bridge to cross over to the pro side. And trust me, it's way easier than you probably think.
So what's the real difference here? Well, a beginner kind of throws everything at one single AI tool, gets frustrated with the mediocre results, and then blames the tool. A pro, though, does things differently. They build a small, specialized team of AI tools, they take a second to clarify what they actually want first, and then they master the art of communicating that to the AI. And here's the best part. None of this is magic. Every single one of these pro traits is a learnable skill. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, let's just talk about that frustration for a second. It's totally normal. You see all this incredible potential, but then you're hit with this extra tax of having to double-check everything and fix all the weird mistakes. It's a real thing. But just recognizing that feeling, that gap, that is the first step. That's how we start turning that frustration into, well, fascination.
So what's the best way to even think about all this? Here's a mindset shift that helps a ton. Think of AI as an upgraded version of the internet. Seriously, we all learned how to Google things, right? We learned how to find information. Well, this is just the next step. We're learning to use these new tools not just to find info, but to synthesize it, to summarize it, to brainstorm with it, to actually create things with it. It's a skill we already have, just supercharged.
All right, skill number 1, building your toolkit. The pro move here is to stop trying to use one AI for everything. Instead, you're going to assemble your own personal A-team of AI tools. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't hire one single person to be your designer, your accountant, and your head of marketing, would you? Of course not. The exact same logic applies here.
And your A-team really just has 3 main roles. First, you've got the brain. These are your big language models like ChatGPT or Claude. They're your all-purpose workhorse for drafting, brainstorming, you name it. Then, you need a researcher, like Perplexity. This is your specialist for finding real, up-to-date, verifiable info. And finally, the creator. This is your artist, Midjourney, Sora, for making images, graphics, all that good stuff. And look, you don't need to learn a million tools. Just get comfortable with 1 or 2 from each category, and you'll be set for pretty much anything.
Okay, so you've got your team assembled. Now what? Now you have to learn how to talk to them. And honestly, this is probably the single most important skill of all. Why? Because it's simple. What you get out of an AI is a direct mirror of what you put in.
And trust me, this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. I'd be going back and forth with an AI, getting so annoyed, and then it would hit me. The problem wasn't the AI, the problem was that I didn't really know what I wanted. It's like going to a restaurant and telling the waiter, just bring me some food. You're going to get something, but probably not what you're craving. If you tell them exactly what you want, you get a great meal. You have to clarify your goal before you ever start typing.
So how do you actually get that clarity into a great prompt? You use a framework. And this 6-part structure is like a secret weapon. First, give the AI a role. Tell it you are an expert copywriter. Then give it the context, all the background info it needs. Next, assign the specific task. Then define the format you want, bullet points, a table. Then set any rules or constraints. And finally, and this is so important, provide an example of what good looks like. When you do all this, you're not just writing a prompt anymore, you're giving it a professional brief.
And here's a little pro tip, a kind of ninja move that works because of how these AIs are built. They tend to pay the most attention to the last thing you told them. So yeah, use the start of your prompt to set the scene with the role and context, but always put your most critical command, the main task, right at the very end. It makes a huge difference.
Let's look at a real-world example. Here's a super common, kind of weak prompt. Create a landing page for my productivity app and make it modern. I mean, what does modern even mean? It could mean 100 different things and it means almost nothing to an AI. The result you're going to get is just blah, generic and disappointing.
But now, check this out. A strong prompt. Instead of just telling it to be modern, you show it. Here's a screenshot of a landing page style I love. Make something like this, but for my product. Boom, you've just replaced one fuzzy, useless word with thousands of data points. Colors, fonts, layout, tone. You're not just telling anymore, you're showing. And the result isn't just a little better, it's in a completely different league.
All right, so you've got your A-team, and you know how to give them a great brief. It's time to level up. We need to move beyond thinking about one-off prompts and start building smart workflows. These are powerful, repeatable systems that you can use over and over again.
But before we can do that, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, hallucinations. You've probably heard this term. It's when an AI just makes stuff up, and it says it with so much confidence. It's a real issue, and it's a valid thing to be worried about. But look, you don't need to be paranoid. You just need a system. And that system is all about building a truth detector habit. Here's a simple 3-step checklist. First, fact check with a specialist. Take any stats your brain AI gives you and run them by your researcher AI to find the source. Second, interrogate the AI. Ask it, how confident are you about that? Explain your reasoning. And third, get a second opinion. Just copy the output from one AI and paste it into another and ask it to critique the response. This little routine will save you so many headaches.
Once you have that safety net, you can start building these powerful workflows with real confidence. This is where it gets really fun. You combine your tools, using each one for what it does best. You become the director of the project. Your AIs are your specialized crew. You have your writer, your researcher, your artist, and you orchestrate them all to create the final result. So we've covered tools, communication, and workflows, but there's one last skill, and honestly, it's the most important one of all. It's the step that makes sure the final product is truly yours. This is all about adding the final human polish that an AI just can't replicate. This is the core mindset you have to have. AI is not here to replace you. It's here to amplify you. Let it do the grunt work, the first draft, that first 80% of the job. Your role is to come in at the end and add that uniquely human value that makes the work actually connect with people. So what does that polish look like? First, there's vision. This is about injecting your unique voice. An AI might spit out a generic line like, "Consistency is key." Okay, sure, it's true, but it's also incredibly boring. Your vision is taking that idea and wrapping it in a personal story. That's what makes it memorable. That's what makes it stick. Next up is taste. You have to trim what I like to call the AIisms. You know what I'm talking about? All that corporate jargon and robotic phrasing that AIs love to use. Leveraging cutting-edge solutions. Ugh. Your job is to be the editor with good taste. You know what sounds natural. Cut out the jargon and just say it like a human. And the final piece of the polish, and it's so critical, is care. An AI sees data points. It might say 47% of users experience this issue, but you see a person. You know what that frustration feels like, so you add care. You write, "I know this part can be really frustrating. I've been there too." That's empathy. That's a real human connection that AI simply cannot fake. Because at the end of the day, even with the world's most perfect prompt, the AI is really only going to get you about 80% of the way there. That final 20%, that's you. It's your vision, your taste, and your care. That is the part that makes all the difference. It's the part that actually connects with another human being, and that part is always you. So just remember that relationship. The AI is the doer. It's an unbelievably powerful tool, but you are always the director. You set the vision, you make the creative calls. You decide what really matters. So the only question left is, what will you go create?